Good afternoon. My name is Jacob Folger. I'm an artist sculptor, and today we're going to make an elephant. Now, I had made this elephant, I think last week, a little baby elephant, and I had done a tutorial on it. But the tutorial was kind of digested, meaning that it was a lot shorter than it could have been. And so I had been wanting to do like a full length, showing all the details. So I'm going to do one sort of like this. It will be a baby elephant, but I'm going to incorporate a mouse into the design because I just think it's really cool when you do that. Elephants are supposed to be afraid of mice, so it's kind of a whimsical thing to do. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I have a basic idea because I have that elephant right there. Now, I do make things for people. And I do make gifts for people, and I have a friend. His nickname is Heaven Fighter. I'm not sure that has a lot of meaning. He told me it didn't really mean anything. It's just a name. But he's Indian, and he is from Nepal, India. I think he's Indian. I guess that's what you would say. He's from Nepal, India. He's a Facebook friend, and we chat. I recently met him online there. I'm going to start with rolling a ball, like that. This is Polymer clay, and the brand is Sculpey 3. It's my brand of choice. You can use any kind of clay for this project, however, if you like. I'm working in black because I like the way the finishes look on the black clay. I will show you the finish closer to the end of the video. Now, from a ball, I want to roll a little bit of a cone shape like that, and this is going to be for the body. So I'll be sending this. This elephant will go and live in India after I make it. You always want to knead the clay, and that's also called conditioning, and it mixes up all the ingredients inside the clay. So I'm going to roll a ball here, another ball. This is a little bit smaller than the other one, and this is for the head. I'm going to roll it a little bit cone-shaped again, just to kind of get it started. And I'm going to use a piece of wire here. This is galvanized steel wire, and it's 18 gauge. And I'm just going to cut myself a little bit. One thing about the wire is you definitely do not want this on your floor. You've got kids, pets, barefoot people walking around. It's just not a good idea. So make sure that when you're cutting it, you're careful not to have it flying all around. And I'm going to send this down inside the body part of the elephant. I'm just going to cut a little bit off. Now watch how I do this. So I'm just going to put my finger on the end so it can't go flying anywhere. Just like that. Now I'm going to, before I join the two parts together, we want to do something called scoring. You'll see this a lot on my videos. What it does basically is it roughs up the clay so that it can join better. So even though I've got the wire, I'm still doing the scoring, so it's added strength. I put that on like that, and then I twist it while applying pressure, and it gives a nice bond. Nice tight bond. And then I can take my finger like this and blend the head into the body, and anywhere I can't get to with my finger, I can use a wood sculpting tool, or any kind of sculpting tool really, actually like that his head is tilted a little bit. I think I'll leave it like that for now. Okay, next I'm going to do, I'm trying to make this just a little bit smaller because it's going a long ways. I don't really want a very big piece and going all the way to India. So I'm going to get 2 balls about the same size, and this is going to be for the legs. And whenever you have parts that are going to be the same, it's a good idea to roll 2 balls and make sure that they're about the same size, like that. Now this will be for the legs, so I'm going to roll it kind of oblong like that, and get them both about the same size before I assemble them. Now this sculpting technique that I'm teaching you is called, that I'm using to teach you, is called simple shapes. It's forming simple shapes out of clay and assembling them to form figures. You can form even structures, anything really. What it does, the idea behind it is to make the making a sculpture obtainable. If you can see it come together very fast, it helps a lot. So these are the shapes that we got here. This is going to join right about here, and of course before we put them together, we score the areas to be joined. It's really, actually, I think elephants are, very easy to make. Okay, I'm going to twist as I put them together and apply pressure, kind of pressing at the same time. I'm just going to form this a little bit. I'm going to do a suggestion of the bottom foot. Instead of having toenails and all that, I'm going to keep it fairly simple. And then I'm going to blend this in all the way around. Blend it to the body. And one thing I want to tell you is that, I do try to tell people this when they're watching my tutorials. Let me use a tool here to get in here. When you're first starting out, it might be a little bit difficult to make it happen the same way I am. But keep in mind that I sculpt every day and I practice every day. And if you were to practice every day, you would probably get just as good as me, or even better, maybe. So just keep that in mind. You want to be patient with yourself. Okay, next we're going to make 2 legs for the front. I'm a pretty good judge of the sizes that I need for for things. That will come also with practice. Okay, I'll get a little bit more on here. So I got 2 about the same size here. I'm just gonna kind of hold it like that and press in. You see that? Let me move him back a little bit so you can see okay. So I'm kind of looking for that shape right there. And also, while you're working, it's probably going to seem very natural for you to just use one hand when you're sculpting. but try to use 2, because that's what's going to get used to using, you know, both hands. So I'm going to put this here, and oh, you know what I forgot was the scoring. And I'm just going to start forming and pushing it in there. And then I kind of want this this foot to be like on top of that one a little bit. I did that on the other one, and I do it a lot. In fact, I did a dog earlier, very early this morning, and I did it with the dog too. Where one foot is sort of, you know, kind of over top of the other one. I think for puppies and baby elephants and things of that nature, it's very cute. So I'm kind of giving him some pretty big, clumsy legs and feet. And then I'm just going to sort of blend that as well, where it joins the leg there. Also on this side. And you can just sort of press on the bottoms, and that would make them flare a little bit. Now you can also start working on the the finish of it, the surface, is to by pressing like this and patting it like that, it can help it stay fairly smooth and make it easier when it comes time to smooth them later. And I'm going to put in the video description below the video, I'm going to put a tool and supply list, and I'm going to put 2 smoothing videos, smoothing polymer clay. I'm going to put baking instructions for the elephant. And there might be some other support information in there. And then what I can do is take my sculpting tool and just, it's always good to blend and cut in those areas, even the tight areas like this. It just makes everything a lot stronger. Okay, so we got this this little sitting elephant here. Now we're going to make the nose. So I'm going to roll a ball, and then I'm going to roll it into a noodle. I don't want it real fat. I want it to be skinny, fairly skinny, so I can maneuver it after I put it on. And sometimes I put them on with wire, but I'm not going to put this one on with wire because I'm going to bring it back around the body and it's going to be secure. But if it was hanging off, like you just wanted it hanging off, you might want to put a strand of wire in there to support it. So you blend the two pieces. You get the do the scoring, and then twist while applying pressure, and then blend it in. And this not only, in this case, not only secures the nose or the trunk, but you're also sculpting at the same time to have there be a fairly smooth transition. I'm just going to pull this back a little bit so I can see that little crack inside there. I want to go ahead and blend that as well. Okay. Now I'm going to tilt this head a little more. And I think I'm going to bring, I'm just going to see how this works. I'm going to creating here as I go. I'm not sure about the head yet. Let me have to play with it a little bit. I think I might want it more upright for now. And I think I'm going to put it like that for now. We'll see how that works. Kind of feeling it out. I'm going to get the mouse in there too, so it's going to be, I'm just going to take my thumb like this, and I'm going to slim down the nose, or the trunk. It's called the trunk. Also, you know, I'm really also keeping in mind where this is going, because it's going to be a long, long trip for him. And I want to make sure there's, you know, it's, you know, very well made. Of course, I always try to do that, but also doesn't have extremities that can break off and that sort of thing when it gets all bumped around. There we go. Okay. All right, now we're going to start. Let's see. I think I'm going to do the ears next. So I'm going to roll 2 balls about the same size. That's about right. And then I'm going to, okay, so now I'm forming the ears. I'm not sure what shape I want to make them. I mean, there's, you know, options, I think. I think actually I'm going to just take this and kind of squeeze out a little bit of a point there. Kind of like that. So I think that will go there. And we'll make this one about the same. Like that. Almost like teardrops. A little bronze sky on them. That's alright. And now I'm going to score where they're going to go on the head. And here. and just work them into the head. There we are. Get the other one on there. Push it in there. Now the ears are you know, very thick, and going back to you know, making it very sturdy. Just blending it in, and then I'm also doing a little smoothing with the tool to get it started. Just keeping in mind that I really don't want to have to do a ton of smoothing, and actually I may actually leave in the sculpting marks, as I often do, and the reason why is when I do the bronze finish, it's just gorgeous, really. Any of the finishes that I do just look really, really nice on you know, a rough sculpted finish, or you know, leaving the sculpting marks in. It's just quite nice. I'm just gonna kind of smooth that out a little bit. I don't want like too much, you know. I like to have some sculpting marks, but not so, you know, so marked up. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my thumb here and just press down a little bit. And that gives a little bit of a bump there. Those bumps you can find commonly on hound dogs. They call them knowledge bumps. And I kind of like that look on this this elephant. He's really coming around, I think. Okay, now I'm going to work on his eyes. I'm going to take this tool. You can find these tools, by the way, most people know that watch my videos that I've been carrying these tools around for many years and using them, of course. And they're made out of hardwood, and you can find them online. You can also find them in some art stores. And you can find these same shapes, actually, still today. So just take note of the shapes because they're very helpful. Alright, now I'm going to start with a little hint of an eye socket. Come over to the other side. And before I go really far, I'm going to make sure that the eyes are the same distance from each other all the way around. So I'm looking at them from here, I'm looking here, here, up from here, and I just want to make sure that they're very close to where they need to be. And then I'll deepen them a little bit. But I want the depth of the eye sockets to also be the same. Like that. Now, I'll take a small piece of clay, about this big, for my elephant, and place it in the eye socket just to make sure it's about the right size. I think it's a little big. I'm going to pull a little off, roll it again, set it in there. It looks good. Okay, that's what I want. That's the size I want. So now I'm going to roll another one. And then I have two balls the same size. And I'll just gently press them in. Like that. I definitely want that seam going around, because it adds to the way the eye will look when it's completed. Now I'm going to take the back of the paintbrush right here, actually I have this one. This is also a paintbrush handle. The brush end came off. This is a better size. And then I'm just going to I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him just kind of looking a little bit down and to the right. So that's his pupil there. If you don't add pupils to the eyeballs, it almost look like, well, it'll look funny. You really should. It makes it look like it has color, because when you put the hole in there for the pupil, it makes a shadow. A shadow is created by the light. Now I'll take a small noodle of clay, like this, so it looks something like that. I'll flatten it slightly. And put it over the top of the eye. Now, one thing about this these pupils is that if you opened your eyes really wide, or you were really surprised or even frightened, you would see, probably more than likely, you would see the whites of your eyes above your pupils. And I don't really want that look, because I don't want them to look surprised. I want them to, or scared. I want them to look relaxed. So, one of my goals here is not to allow that pupil to be below the eyelids. It is a little bit. So let me just form. I want to get that the eyelid on there really good, the way I want it. Use the tool here to blend it in. So when you're blending it and that sort of thing, it will move sometimes. The eyelid will move around. So I want to make sure that it's well seated. So if I blend it, see how it's moving around? If I blend it before I mess with the pupils, I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you how I do that in a minute. So I just blend the top of the eyelid into the head. I'm patting it with my thumb to kind of smooth it out a little bit. Also, this little lines here should be sculpted in as well to smooth them out. If you didn't do that, he might look worried or mad or something like that. So I'm telling you about this because These are things you want to pay attention to. You might look at your elephant and say, wow, my elephant looks really angry, or he looks really worried, or something like that. Well, the way the eyelids are formed around the eyes can make changes like that. And then you take your tool and just enlarge the eye up, the pupil up under the eyelid, and that will give it the proper look that I am looking for, and probably you too. So there we are. You can also adjust the eyelids, or kind of smooth again, or watch out for those little creases. And there we are. So he's coming along. Next, we're going to make a mouse. Okay, there we are. Got this little elephant coming here. I want to work on the mouse. And so I'm rolling a noodle of clay. I mean a ball of clay. I'm going to roll it a little bit oblong. And then I'm going to put my fingers like that, and I'm going to roll it a little bit, which will form a neck. Kind of a neck there. They don't have a lot. Mice don't have a big neck, but they have somewhat of a neck. So here's the body, the neck, and now I'm going to start forming his head a little bit by just squeezing it on either side with 2 fingers. I want his nose to be a little bit longer. I kind of want him looking up at his friend. And then I'm going to take 2 balls of clay about the same size. I think I need a little bit more clay on that one. Let's see what we got here. That's about right. I think I need maybe a little bit more on that one. And that's about right. Now these will be for the ears. I'm going to roll them a little bit to make kind of like a little teardrop, like that. It's going to have pretty big ears, which will be, I think, kind of cute. I've got this teardrop shape again. And then I'm going to blend the ears into the face and head. And then I'm just going to squeeze here a little bit, squeeze them a little bit. The best thing to do is just take your time And I'm just gently going back and blending the seams where they join at the top. And then it's also at the back and at the bottom. Just want a nice kind of a smooth transition there. Now what I'm going to do is take the back of this sculpting tool here, put my finger kind of behind the ear. Now you could use also like the back of a paintbrush for this. I'm just going to kind of bowl the inside of the ear a little bit so it's got some definition. And also here on the other side. Still just kind of smoothing and blending a little bit just to define it a little bit. I'm also kind of pressing the nose a little bit just to make it less pointy. Just takes time, patience. You'll get there. And then for the eyes, since this is just so tiny, I'm going to just put 2 slits in. I might have to do that one again. I'm going to just smooth it over a little bit. There you go. And now I'm going to, oh, this will be nice, have him kind of snuggling with his little friend there. I'll just place him in there with the against the nose, kind of in that little crotch area there. Now I'm not scoring here, but this clay is really warm from being worked. I always try to recommend scoring if you can. But if the clay is like really warm, it might be okay not to. And if it's a really small piece like this. And I just added a front leg, and before I add the front leg on the other side, I'm going to roll a little bit of a ball here and flatten it slightly, and that's going to be his back hip. I'm just going to press it into place there. You will find more than likely that if you sculpt in a piece like this where you're putting the mouse on the sculpture and then adding parts to it, that it's actually not hard to do. It makes it easier, in fact, in some ways. I'll take a really small ball of clay, and also keep in mind that everything that I'm doing here can also be done bigger or smaller. So if it's easier for you to manage this, in a larger state, definitely go ahead and do that. Just sort of cutting that in a little bit. And then I'll put his other leg on there, his front leg. I'm just putting it and then blend that into the body, or the rest of the upper body. There we are. And so he's just sort of snuggling there. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the nose holes in on the nose, and then we'll do the tail, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that in just a minute. But I want to go ahead and do this. So I'm just going to support the trunk at the end there with my thumb. And put in 2 nose holes. Sort of smooth that a little bit. And then I'll do his tail. So I'll roll a ball of clay into a noodle. I want to get it really tiny, or fairly tiny, so I'm going to roll it on the table, and that way I can get it nice and uniform. You see, I'm just using my finger to roll it. And a mouse's tail is kind of pointy, so I'm going to make it pointy on the end here. I just want to kind of smooth the leg a little bit while I've got it open here. I'm going to cut the tail off right about there. Just see where it's going there, and then bring it around and I'm just kind of have it go back against the nose there. and come back in behind and blend the tail to his lower back there. And then I'm just going to try to add a little bit of detail to his front legs a little bit, maybe. And then also I'm going to change his eyes, and the reason why is because the mouse is kind of dozing in his trunk. So I want his eyes to look different, and this is, you know, just part of the artistic process. You know, sometimes when you make something, you change your mind. So I just basically closed his eyes, or blended them out. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him closed eyes, but not the same way as I did the mouse. What I'm going to do is take 2 balls of clay the same size, like that. I'm going to roll them into little noodles, and basically I'm just going to close his eyes for him and put these little eyelids there to do that, and the eyes will be a lot better you know, formed. I mean, actually you'll be able to get a lot of definition out of that. Just blending them in. And then we basically have an elephant and a mouse that are kind of snoozing together. And there we go. Okay, we're coming along here. We're getting pretty close. I think it's time to do a tail for the little guy. So, tails are very easy to do, actually. What I do is I roll a noodle, like that. And I'm going to score it. And I'm going to score the base here. I think I'm going to have the tail actually probably come around like this. Because if the tail was just hanging loose, it would probably break off. And then I, put it on there like that against the body, and where I scored it, try to have it center of the head. Blend it in at the bottom, and then you can take your, I don't know if I showed you this, but you can take your fingers and just shake or rotate your hand slightly while applying pressure gently so as not to deform the tail. Then you can take a sharp knife, and an elephant has kind of a tassel tail, so the tip of it has strands of hair. And so basically I sculpt or carve those little strands of hair by drawing lines on the end of the tail. Like that. You can also take your sculpting tool and seal up that seam where the tail joins the body. And you can do that on both sides. There we go. Just, okay, now I want you to turn your sculpture over and look at the bottom here. You can see there's all those places where we had joined and done our cutting in and our blending and everything at the top. We didn't at the bottom, so these areas have to be filled in. You can take and that will just make it, of course, stronger. So and just put a little bit of clay in there and just fill it up. And then it will have a nice, you'll have a nice strong elephant. You want a strong elephant, so. There we go. So just fill the gaps. And a couple of things just also I want to touch on is that when you're holding your sculpture, you want to try to cradle it as opposed to gripping it, because if you grip it, you might deform the clay. Now you can before going on to the finish, you should take a look at those smoothing videos in the video description, and go ahead and smooth it the way you want and following the instructions there. And then we can put a finish on it. Again, I often leave sculpting marks in my pieces because I think the finishes look really nice that way. But you may not like that, and if that's the case, then you would want to get it nice and smooth by using the information about smoothing in those videos. Okay, so we're about there, and we're going to go ahead and do the finish now. I'm going to do a finish that I don't do very often, but this is kind of a special elephant. It's for a friend of mine. So I want to do what I call purple bronze. It's a purple bronze finish. So I'm using, actually, it's the color is Reflex Violet. This will be in the video description and the tool and supply list. And we're going to also be using antique bronze in this finish. So the best way to do this is to touch your brush, or the brush you're going to use, into the purple or the Reflex Violet. Get some on the brush, and then put it in the lid, and use that to work from. Maybe two times, 2 dips. And then what I do basically is I just I try to get some of the excess off so it's not blowing all over the place. And then I paint it on the elephant. So I dip it in and dab it onto the table. Now this is my work table that I use for making videos. So I'm not worried about it getting messed up, but you might want to use a piece of paper towel if it was you. I'm going to avoid the mouse. Try not to get him done in purple. I want to leave him black for now. And this is Pearlex Pigments, and it comes in many colors. But some colors just go really well together, and the purple is gorgeous, or again, Reflex Violet. It's really quite a pretty finish. It's okay, at least for the finish that I'm doing here, for the some of the black to shine through. I'm really not looking for complete coverage here, but just to get most of the elephant in this done in the Reflex Violet. And also, I usually tell people that, you know, when you're doing a finish, it's really a good idea to do the whole sculpture, including the bottom. Just so you have continuity in your finish. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is try to get some of this bronze on the edges there to kind of come into the center, like that. And I'm going to cradle the elephant, as I told you is a good idea to do so that you don't deform the clay. Missed a little spot here on his ear. And then what I do is I dip my finger into the bronze like that, and then I swirl it with my finger, my thumb. And then I just go over the sculpture gently and sparingly, highlighting the bronze. I mean the purple, or Reflex violet. I always call it purple. I've been calling it purple for a long time, so I just got to try to remember not to when I'm doing a tutorial. And I'll use both fingers, my thumb and my forefinger. That's fine if it's easier to reach it. Together, it just looks, I think, really pretty. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a small paintbrush with the bronze, and I'm going to dip it into the bronze and then get the excess off, and then I'm going to do the mouse. And I want the mouse, you know, to stand out, so I am looking for kind of a brighter finish on the mouse. So I get that contrast, and that also that the mouse is really obvious, because I want him to be really obvious. And there we are. There's our purple snoozing elephant in his bronze snoozing mousy friend. And that's what he looks like. So So the next step then would of course be to bake the elephant, and is going to be, again, in the video description below the video. There'll be complete instructions on baking Sculpey 3 polymer clay. If you have some other kind of clay, you want to check your instructions in the packaging and make sure that you use the correct baking time and temperature. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I have many videos about all kinds of sculpture and sculpture tutorials. Please also give me a thumbs up on the video and let me know that you liked it. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. And if you have any comments, questions, conversations, photos of things you want to share that you made, you can send them to my email address, which is on the About page of my channel page here on YouTube. And also, I do make sculptures for people. If you'd like something made for yourself, feel free to let me know. And also, please visit my art shop. The address will follow at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.